Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys for just a moment about something, because I've said this in the past back on the Ice Cream Fitness channel, something I posted on my Facebook fan page this week. And actually Ben Rice contacted me and thanked me for it, and we talked about it for a little bit, and I have caught some flack for this in the past. And I've actually had people who say, well, how come you said this or that person isn't natty, or they're a fake natty, yet you have said that that fake natty Ben Rice, you think he probably isn't on drugs. Because like I said, guys, you can never be certain. We've all been fooled. But yeah, I really give him the benefit of the doubt, and there's a number of reasons why I do that. And this is something I think is interesting, because one of the biggest criticisms that I get from my critics and some public figures who I have had negative interactions with is something like, oh, Jason says anybody who's 160 pounds with abs is on steroids, or anybody who looks better than me, or anybody who is stronger than me is obviously on gear. Yet there have been plenty of people who I've said in the past who have better physiques than me, clearly dramatically better physiques than me, and guys who flat out outlift me even in lighter weight classes, like my friend John. The guy has a 410 raw Wilks. He kicked my ass at the meet. I took second place, and had I totaled 70 kilos heavier, he still would have kicked my ass and still taken first place. He's a lifetime natty, and I know this. I know that he is. And yet people seem to use this as a criticism of me, yet at the same time, when I do come out and say some person, I think they probably are drug-free, I catch flack for it. And I think that's interesting. I think it's in part because I've been branded this fake natty hunter online, which is not a title I ever wanted. But I don't even want to get started on that. So let me explain to you why I actually think Ben Rice probably is, and why I give him the benefit of the doubt. There's some actual reasons for it. There's a train of thought here. First of all, when it comes to the performance end, yeah, to be the best of the best, you're always going to have to use drugs, even in a tested federation. They're the top 5 in the world. I don't mean just for their federation, but on Powerlifting Watch, even in the tested, I suspect that they are probably on gear. And that's just being a pragmatist. I strongly suspect that the overwhelming majority of elite level athletes, overwhelming majority of people who make their living off of their physique, are chemically enhanced. That's not being a hater, being jealous. That's being pragmatic. That's being just rational and reasonable, particularly since we know drug testing doesn't work. No, seriously, in natural bodybuilding or drug-free powerlifting, you could practically train a pet monkey to pass the drug test while using drugs. Okay, it's not that difficult. So I don't ever use the fact that someone's tested as the criteria or not. And even with the performance, I don't even base it on their performance unless they're dramatically close to what people are doing at the top levels in untested. Meaning if a person their total is 10 pounds less than the world record holder in their weight class in untested, yeah, that's going to be pretty suspicious at that point. Because it's basically implying that steroids don't do anything. But just because someone's at the elite level doesn't mean it. And yeah, Ben Rice's total is impressive even for an enhanced lifter. I'm not denying that. 99% of guys on steroids will never lift what he lifts. I think we all agree on that. That's just reality. And then obviously you can look at some people and say, okay, they're lean, they're under 10% body fat, and their fat-free mass index is higher than what most experts say the limits of what their frame should hold in terms of muscle mass without drugs. Okay, that's a dead giveaway. If someone has a certain look, they have that shrink-wrapped, dry, full Photoshop look, a look that is obtained generally only with drugs, yeah, in my mind, I'm going to say, yeah, that guy's on drugs no matter what they say. I may not openly accuse them, but yeah, I am going to think that, because otherwise, then there's no point in ever taking drugs, because if the same look can be obtained without drugs, then there would be no reason to differentiate between natural and enhanced, because the same thing could be done without them by everybody. So there's no need to ban them. There's no need to even test. There's no need to differentiate if that's the case. So again, that's just a pragmatic view. Now, the thing when it comes to Ben, I base it upon personality and his history. And I know that's messed up, but I would point out to you, drug testing doesn't work. So that's the only test you have, is a look at the person's integrity as a person. That's all you have. That is the only tool you have. So What do I look for? What are my accumulating warning signs that I say, yeah, that guy's a fake natty? Well, I look for a number of factors, and I'm not saying these automatically make them, but each one of these that you add to the equation, the probability, in my mind at least, goes higher and higher that they are a fake natty. Number one, they have an obvious financial interest in using steroids. Okay, that alone can make somebody suspect, but that's not automatically enough. Number two, they have an obvious financial interest in lying about using their steroids. Okay, we're going up a little step. We're getting up in the area, well, you got to be suspicious, but that's not automatic assumption. The next thing I look for is personality traits. If that person displays personality traits of narcissism, and you guys can look this stuff up yourself. You can do research on personality traits and personality disorders and figure out why I say these things. So they display a propensity towards narcissism, sociopathic tendencies, or an inferiority complex publicly, and it's very obvious that they routinely display these personality traits. That moves them up a much higher notch when those other factors are already in place, because that is the type of person who has a personality propensity to lie about things like this and deceive people without actually feeling bad about it. Meaning those are the people whose personalities, they won't actually feel any remorse or guilt for doing it. And then the big kicker, what really pushes somebody over the edge to where I'm going to say that person is almost certainly a fake natty, is when they also have a public history of lying, exaggerating the truth, or distorting the truth purely for their own financial interest. Now, the thing is, what I just described, those four things in combination, match a very massive number of people in the fitness world. But those are the traits I look for. You step back and you look at someone like Ben Rice. Yeah, his lifts are impressive. Am I jealous of his lifts? You're damn right I'm jealous of his lifts. I'm not going to lie, I am jealous as hell of his lifts. And I probably always will be, no matter what I put in my body. I'll be jealous of his achievements. I admit it freely. But there's some other factors to look at. Number one, the guy clearly has very, very good genetics. He has been training in powerlifting since he was 12 years old. I've watched his training. His work ethic is absurd. His training is very, very intelligent. And I'll even go back, and some people who, if you look at them, who are often considered to be fake natties, their training is fucking stupid. Even if they come across as bright, their training is nowhere near ideal for a drug-free lifter. Ben's training is really, really well planned out for a drug-free lifter. He's been very consistent with it for over a decade. He's very, very consistent with his training and his work ethic. So we're coming over here to, is the possibilities. Is it possible? Yeah. Does he look like he's on drugs? No, he doesn't have a look to his physique to where I look at that and go, oh yeah, telltale signs. I don't see the telltale characteristics of drug use there. That doesn't mean that he's not on them. It's just saying there's no obvious signs. His fat-free mass index compared to his body fat percentage is within the limits for his structure of what most experts say could be obtained without drugs. So he's probably not using drugs to get bigger. And I would say if you look at the type of workloads that he trains with and the numbers he trains with in his sessions, if he were to go on a bunch of drugs, I think he would struggle. He wouldn't be able to stay under that fat-free mass index. His fat-free mass index would go up over 25, 26, 27 just due to his workload if he was on drugs. That's what I think he would get big. He wouldn't be able to hide it. Sorry, but you can't lift the way that he lifts and use steroids and not get big. Okay, it's not going to happen. And then we go back to those personality traits. Okay, let's look at those ones of the narcissism, sociopathic behavior, all of that stuff. If you watch him regularly, the things that he talks about, the way that he behaves, he is extremely humble. He downplays his own achievements. This is a person who just, you observe him regularly, he's very, very humble. He's very philosophical. This is someone who actually talks a lot about how important it is of how you treat other people, that you care about other people's feelings, that you need to think about if you show other people respect or not. And he is definitely not a sociopath in his basic philosophy, and the things that he tries to inspire other people to be. He comes across as quite compassionate and empathic while being very humble at the same time. Then we come to the financial thing. He's not really making money off of this. He's making very, very little money off of what he's doing in terms of both his YouTube, his sport. I seriously doubt he's making enough money to live off of, so he's not really getting much of a financial incentive to lie. Now, he might have incentive to do the drugs because he's a competitive athlete, no doubt about it. But doesn't have a financial incentive there. And money is really the big motivator here. And in fact, when it comes to the financial incentive and going back to the integrity of that person, again, the supplement industry is full of corruption. And anyone who's heavily involved in the supplement industry automatically becomes suspect as far as their integrity because of the nature of the industry. This is a person who I've watched turn down sponsorships or get sponsorships and they say, hey, I don't want this sponsorship. I don't feel right about it because I don't use these products. So this is a person who is willing to turn down free money, free sponsorship, because he doesn't feel right about lying about it. When it's free, easy money, all he has to do is say, yeah, I use this, and there's the product. He turns them down. He doesn't strike me as a person based upon his personality and history. He doesn't have those psychological traits or history of what I would look for in somebody who is a fake natty. It's just not there. And what he has achieved is impressive as it is, and as humbling as it is to me, and as jealous as I am. I think it can be done without drugs in extreme situations, but he seems to fit that extreme situation. He checks the boxes. So, could he be using drugs? Yeah, it's possible. Do I give him the benefit of the doubt that he isn't, all things considered? I feel like I don't have a choice. Just logically speaking, reasonably speaking, I would not feel comfortable with myself if I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt, all factors considered. So for the people who are asking me and they're giving me flack and giving me shit about saying I think Ben Rice is probably clean, that's my reasons for it, guys. It's not something I just arbitrarily came up with. There's no money for me doing this. He just is not giving me money. He's not making much money in the industry. So it's not like I have an incentive to lie about it. It's just my gut instinct and general opinion and assessment of the man. I just don't think he's lying. Unlike a lot of the other people out there who you guys know I have a different view. They have a track record of being damn near sociopathic liars publicly. So therein lies the difference, guys. His personality, his track history, his training history, everything combined. I give him the benefit of the doubt. And for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about or Ben Rice, I'm going to link his channel down below, so go check it out. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys some unesthetic, jealous bicep shots before I go. And give you a tricep shot too. Jealous of everybody with aesthetic arms that all must be on drugs.